delighted to welcome you all to the Perspective Roundtable series in association with Bracket 7 on the topic, Do you have visibility to the risk in your digital transformation journey? To begin with, I would like to call Mr. Rishi Kapoor, partner business head Sapphire Connect, to give a welcome address to everyone.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Rishi Kapoor. Malin has already introduced me, so let me start by saying hello to each one of you for taking time off your busy schedule. As we all know that today's digital environment has grown more complex than before, thus making it difficult for organizations to secure as transformation expands the attack surface, giving attackers more target from which to choose. Understanding the risk areas is critical to identify and deal with all the risks that an organization may be exposed in a digital environment. Today, we are gathered here to take a deeper look into the key intersection of digital transformation and risks through the lens of each one of you present here, how we can protect our enterprises. Without further delay, I would like to officially open the floor. Over to you, Malin, in case you want to introduce everyone.
I leave that to Vinayak, who will now set the context for the discussion, and over to you.
Okay, so we can start with the introduction, and then do you want me to set the context or?
Set the context and then the
Okay, perfect. Okay. So hi, good evening, everyone, and thank you for gathering over with us for today's roundtable discussion. Okay. I don't want to cover too many slides. I don't want to talk to you because I would love to hear your thoughts, hear your insights on the topic that we have today with us, right? But reason I have put in a couple of slides over here, right? Because I feel these are something which will be really important, right, for us as a foundation for our discussion, right? And the reason I'm saying is, as someone who has been working in cybersecurity industry for 12 plus years, right? I have worked with multiple organizations across different industries, different verticals, with multiple teams, and I understand, right, as we say, when we talk about different people, different technologies, right? Sometimes they evolve, sometimes they innovate, sometimes they fail, right? And then we put a tag, okay, there's something is failing, there's something is functioning well, okay? But why it's failing or why it's functioning well? Because everything is related to business transformation, okay? So if we go back in the earlier days, okay, we can say that IT was an expense for a business. But now if we say, then IT is a partner with a business, right? So that's how the business transformation has happened, okay? What all things are supporting this transformation, or what all things are part of this transformation, okay? We all know, right, because of late, right, if we talk about CISOs, if we talk about CEOs and CTOs, right? So CEO has a vision for the business, CTO aligns or CIO aligns the technology or the innovation for the business, okay? The most difficult job is for the CISO, or I would say the IT managers, or in the same level, because we need to understand business and we need to understand technology that is being there, and then how we can, of late, the business transformation is happening in, I would say, in a cloud-centric way, okay? So here is an article from the Gartner, which talks about a huge spending, okay, over the cloud infrastructure. But if we talk about the public cloud, right, it's a very, very fragmented domain, okay? It consists of CAS-based, it consists of platform as service, IaaS, right? Whatnot, right? I mean, every solution, every business may be offering some kind of, I would say, solution or some kind of services to different organizations or to different industries as part of P2P, again, as a part of business transformation, right? So there is a huge spending. That means the transformation is happening, okay? It's confirmed. But with the transformation coming into place, there are concerns, okay? Concerns, and the concerns are different, right? When we take a look from a business person perspective, the concerns are different. When we take a look from the cybersecurity perspective, or I would say someone who is part of the InfoSec team or CISO team, right? Or someone who is supporting the IT security, the concerns will be different. Definitely they are going to align somewhere. And we can also say the concerns may be different for different industry verticals, but fundamentally they all remain same, okay? So what are the concerns, right? So if we talk about spending, if we talk about cloud as the platform for business transformation, right? The concerns with the organizations is governance, right? How to govern the cloud, okay? Lack of expertise, okay? I'm not going to go into detail of all of these concerns, just to put it out over here, okay? Because we all know, right? When we talk about putting up a business in a dynamic platform, then we also look, do we have a team which can support that transformation, which can support that platform, right? Which can match the pace of the business, okay, from a technology point of view. Okay. Another concern would be the security part, the core security for the respective platform. Okay, the way it grows, the way it is dynamic. Okay, how we can align the security, right? The way we have aligned the security with our legacy systems, I would say, with our on-premise infrastructure into the cloud. And the last, managing the spendings on the cloud. Okay, so these are the concerns, right, which are normally discussed between the business owners and the security practitioners. Okay, so what is required to manage these concerns? I would say manage this risk, or I would say manage these issues that organizations face, right, regarding this, regarding their transformation or business transformation over the cloud. Okay, if you ask me, there are three main pillars. Okay, if worked upon efficiently, right, we can address these concerns because we can address these challenges across the business transformation, right? The first thing would be provide a seamless, efficient platform, okay, for the changes to happen, right? So for example, moment there's a new business innovation coming up, okay, there should be a seamless platform for the developers which can identify, once the development has been made, which can identify the securities, the lapses in those development cycles, okay, and provide a dynamic security to the business, okay. This is required because then only we can match the pace of business transformation with security, okay. But there's a challenge. When we have continuous integration, continuous deployment, okay, and we have togetherness working of InfoSec team, I would say IT security team, and the DevOps team, okay, too much of information will be raised, and that would actually lead to noise. So technically, that should be a way to reduce the noise. There should be a way so that security team can have more context on the data that is generated by the continuous integration, continuous deployment, and they can simplify it. They have unified visibility on all of this data. They have unified visibility across the assets, across the different resources, across the different entities, across the different regions of the cloud on which the business is residing. Okay. Once they have this information, the only challenge remains is how to map the pace of the remediation, right, with the business. Okay, so that's where we talk about automation workflows. Okay, so there should be a process in a place, right? Workflow is not a solution, I would say. It's a process, right? There should be a process in place which should understand what are the changes being made, which should understand what are the issues that are being raised, we should understand what are the new entities which are being introduced or provision, right, into the business and how they can be secured in a very, very effective way. Okay. With that being said, I invite all of you, okay, to discuss, do you have visibility of risk in your cloud transformation journey, or I would say digital transformation journey? Okay. So I would request any one of you to please take the lead, okay? And to start with our discussion, my first topic would be, what's your biggest challenge in achieving your security objectives? Anybody wants to take a lead? Yes, sir.
Yeah, so basically, as you said, see today, of course, every organization is different. Like if you look at my organization, we are in a multi-cloud environment, and I think touching two, three areas. One is, of course, see when you talk of multi-cloud, different clouds will have their own way of basically having a standardized policy across clouds is not, it was another biggest challenge. And second, I think you've spoken about the whole shift left. So while we can talk all shift left, we can talk all that, but finally it's a lot of change in mindset of developers, because traditionally developers don't know how to write safe code. It's all great. We can talk.
Yes.
Let's be very clear. Means, and it's not easy. And sometimes depending on the company, of course. Like I don't want to generalize, but if there are regulations, if there are certain drivers, it's fine. Otherwise, it's not easy to change the. Because finally, the engineering guys, in fact, see, we can talk a lot of security, but at the end of the day, they take the lead because. And it's not easy. Well, it's not easy to talk shift left because there's a lot of mindset change. It's not just tools because I've seen you can get great tools, but then always there'll be exceptions to roll the wheel out.
Correct.
And all that. So
yeah.
So basically, again, I'm not saying that today thanks to technology, of course, we also gone to the journey of CSPM, CWPP, of course, continued security, all that what is spoken. That's one of the biggest risk, of course. So so it's always keep continuously understand. One is, of course, as spoken about the attack surface, you first understand who's the adversary, understand the overall risks, and then and still certain perennial problems like do you know your assets first? Where is my data? What are the critical assets? I think those are all standard we have been dealing with, but thanks to new technologies, newer tools which allows you. So I think the idea is to, if you are on a multi-cloud journey, how do I get that single pane of glass? And how, because the CISO's end of the objective is to see that all your cloud journey, right? There's uniform policy. Of course, while we can talk all CASB and so today I think the world in a multi-cloud journey, like the CSPM, workload protection and all are becoming very important. I think that's what I see the way industry is moving.
Okay.
And yeah.
So you're confirming with the CSPM solution or the cloud security platform coming into place.
Absolutely.
Most of the CISOs or most of the organizations are able to
yes.
Have kind of a security objective achieved.
Absolutely. Without that, you cannot achieve your objective. Basically.
Okay.
Because the traditional vulnerability management solutions probably may not, because today we are living in a continuous world. We are living in a continuous innovation world.
Thank you, sir. Anybody?
I just like to.
Yes, sir. Please.
Yeah. What I'm saying is, I definitely I agree with what Satish is saying and very valid. But I'm saying that's the biggest challenge if you ask me, right? So biggest challenge differs time to time. Sometimes biggest challenge for me was how do I have a good policy maybe 1 year, 2 years back and standardize across the multiple environment. We have AWS and Azure, those two. So it's very difficult in a multi-cloud kind of environment having a standard policy, standard configuration, standard monitoring. So I mean standardization is a big challenge there. But now if I ask me maybe say after 2 years or down the line, the biggest challenge is the speed. Speed which we are actually remediating, speed on which we are deploying, speed on which we are monitoring and alerting, speed on which we are actually doing those changes, change management. I mean, so I see that speed is a criteria if I talk in business language, but in technical there are really, I mean, that depend on the person whom you are asking. The challenges will differ in the CISO organization also. So
I understand. Yeah. That means you have a binocular which can actually make you look to the other end of the universe, but we don't still have the teleportation technology which can take us to there, right? So that accommodation is a challenge.
I feel technology tools are doing really great, no doubt about it. There is a lot of evolution in the tool, but when the organization maturity takes time little bit to adopt those tools, and then the second thing that once the tool is adopted, making that tool operation itself take maybe 1 or 2 years, maybe more also. Okay. It's not that simple to align the resources with that tool or processes with that tool. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else who can add their insights on this particular question, particular topic?
Let me just add.
Yes, sir.
Here. I don't know whether we need the. So, no politician here. So I am a misfit in this room because I belong to a different tribe between the group of CISOs and the information security professionals here. I belong to the tribe of CIOs and CTOs. So
well, you are very important to us.
This is one of the bigger headaches that I go to go to bed every day. That is my data secure. But having said that, when I look at it from a holistic perspective, and that is exactly what I need to do as part of the role, is there are two clear aspects. One is that I represent the BFSI industry. A lot of regulations we all understand, right?
Yeah.
So I'll not even go to the cloud journey initially, while we have started in bits and pieces. But is the industry really ready for that? Are my core applications ready for that? We still don't know. And when we move, still that is a question which is yet to be answered. That is number one. Number two is that over the years, because of the nature of the industry, heavily regulated.
Yeah.
The entire landscape of applications was built, was architected, engineered in a way that it was always having a great security on premise. So security was always a web on which the application development engineering happened in the past.
Okay.
Now, if I have to move this entire piece on a cloud journey, this has to be broken piece by piece, and then again re-architected and recreated as per my whatever style I adopt. Is it going to be a multi-cloud? Is it going to be a hybrid? What exactly I'm trying to achieve there?
Yeah.
That's a very, very different question.
Yeah.
So I mean, everyone in my shoes in the industry, they are facing the same challenge, and this is something which starts with security. Security is not a problem here, but this is something which is one of the anchors to the decisions that we have to take.
Correct.
I thought I'll just add a different perspective here.
Yes, sir. So technically, cloud migration is one of the biggest challenges. Yes. Yes, sir.
Maybe I think there's a mic
You're audible, but yeah, we can still use it. Yeah.
because of the video or audio.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's about let's take Darwin here. Let's bring Darwin here for a second.
Mm-hmm.
So that's exactly IT. If you see it, right? IT has always been a governance topic. If you take 20 years history, we would have been studying in school then.
Yeah.
So just to feel younger. So if you see it here, IT has always been a governance topic, and slowly we evolved to an enablement topic, right? Where the business enablement. Today, if you see, we are between the business-driven IT and a digital native readiness. Right? It's not only for the Ubers of the world, which is purely InMobi or any other company we see, is right. It's a digital native company. Even for the traditional legacy company, digital nativity index is a quintessential part of it. So that's the evolution we are in. We are at a tipping point of the evolution from a governance to a business-driven organization, where IT is going to be a business-driven part of it. From a cost center to a partner, that's what I think you mentioned. You rightly started with that note. So from there, if you see that as the base of the context, which is where I come from. I had the digital transformation and enterprise IT, right? So when you see the role, what we do is we have to strike a balance, right? Security is the last priority for the business, right? From an experience standpoint, it's the first priority for the IT, right? To enable security, to ensure that nothing is lost for the organization, because we are patent heavy. Right? Any organization is patent heavy. Any organization is IP heavy, because we are not doing a commodity skills.
Correct.
We are doing a very niche business. If you see, we have a legacy of 100 years. So having said that, how do we strike a balance between transformation, between ever-changing business models, between adapting to the future, right, without compromising experience, be it people experience, be it customer experience, be it OT experience, which is very important. Connecting people, process, business, things intelligently, right, with security. Right? So that's the story, right? That's what, always be connecting the dots. The ABCD of the story, the security has always been undermined, right? To be honest, I don't know the value of security till an attack has happened.
Okay.
Right? So the crux here is, how do we strike a balance with the speed, time to market, experience, transformation, business need, at the same time with a governance of security. Because in onboarding a new solution takes 3 months time. Right? So I'm just talking about it. And today low code, no code is happening because we need a variety of low code, no code solutions.
Correct.
For example, from an infra modernization. Without infra modernization, I can't take my business to the next league of things. So we are moving from a brick and mortar to a subscription-based business. Everyone is doing that, right? So how can I change my infra modernization without compromising security, right? Because today I am a top line player. I'm not only a cost center which is giving P&L series, right? So that is the exact mindset. We need sponsors at all levels. I think rightly said by Satish, the developers, right, or the engineers, their mindset is nobody is considering them as the sponsors. Actually, they are the biggest sponsors here in this play.
Correct.
I think well said, Satish. Kudos to you. So maybe I'm just trying to connect where I play a role. So that's the bottom line.
Thank you.
So I think that's where the CIOs comes into picture because they support the ideas, right? They bring in the innovation, they bring in the technology, right? So that's where they come to picture. By the way, you read my mind. My second this topic
If I
for the
can just
discussion.
add one more.
Yes, sir, please.
Just would like to add different perspective.
Yes, sir.
So just a lighter note, digital transformation is like car making, where you made the engine with the gearbox. Security is like a gearbox. So what is a lighter note becomes as the main product in the later stage. And then we have perspectives adding into it, where
Correct.
the developers come into picture, and then developers want to do a lot of things. Should we go for open source? Should we go for the natural ones? And then again, coding comes into picture. And then it is like also what is the hardware surface operating systems there to use? Should I use the Mac? Should I use the Ubuntu? Should I use the Windows?
Correct.
So and where are the controls onto it?
Correct.
So it gives into. And again, in many of the organizations, the biggest thing also is that security teams are increasing, data processing teams are increasing, legal teams are increasing. So just want to mention that it is becoming like a huge portion at times. Everyone knows who it is. Say for example, for me, my daughter, when I don't go to office, she's 10 years old. Dad, who will take care of the main gate security?
Correct.
So I meant to say like, people think security of person is taking care of data sometimes, of compliance sometimes. Everyone has their own version.
Yes.
So wherein it also becomes very much wherein a lot of roles are getting changed. So these also have to be very much aligned to the business. And next thing also is that many are going through agile transformations. So wherein agile, they have got their own sprint cycles and all. So is security part of it? And then do they want it to be part of it? And then as my friend also mentioned, does it come into the last note or don't we require that? Okay, so we may also have shadow security happening at times. We are heard about shadow IT very much.
Correct.
And then again, I think ongoing we may also have shadow clouds because they want to start and they want to get into the end product.
Correct.
So
We
that's
need
where
to know where our digital footprint is.
Right.
When was it there? Who has the visibility? Who has access to guys?
Right, yeah.
All this. Yes. Okay. So technically, your biggest challenge is about the cloud governance and the visibility part, right? How it grows, right? And then how do you create a different steps, different remedy, or I would say, different batch of processes to address it, right? You want to add?
No.
Just to add, see, for a unicorn company, right, digital native companies, it's all about result oriented, right? We do not have time to sit and deploy a product for 6 months and 7 months. We want product which is exactly.
Exactly.
So we need frictionless products.
Right.
If at Dala, it will be done in like 2 days or 3 days max. Right?
Right.
So because developers don't have patience.
Correct.
Okay, if you tell a DevOps to deploy a product and it will take 6 months, that's one, right? So it has to be frictionless. Second thing, what happens is, it should not make a lot of changes on our own infra. Like you make identity changes, you need permission issues, you have access issues, right? Right. And third is, when you deploy, you see results and you see value immediately.
Correct.
Right. And the value is such that since we have like bunch of really cat A engineers, right? So what happens is when we see a lot of products, right, they can actually develop the product themselves because a whole bunch of open source are available, right? Open sources are available.
Correct.
So the product should be really complex, solving complex engineering, right? It should not be very easy, right? If you go to let's say we were building like, scanning tools, right? Where the codes are getting leaked through GitHub, GitLab, various source code management tools, right? We have developed on our own. So why can't you solve a problem? Because we have cat engineering companies, right? You name Flipkart, Amazon, we've got guys from all the top A companies, right? So the point is the vendor solving a complex problem? Third is, if we have dependent on vendor, will they allow us customization? Because we are a huge entity, right?
Correct.
So that is another challenge because we are solving these problems, right? And last is, user experience. So if you solve any problem with 80, 90,000 employees, that's the last thing I want to touch, right? That user experience ko kuch bhi hota hai, then there'll be a fire across. So we want a product or solutions that can at the back end sit silently, solve my problem, give me inputs, and I show immediate value. Right? So that's what we are trying to.
I think you're asking too much.
We are trying to solve.
But that's the reality. That's the ground reality.
Yeah, and we have seen those products. Honestly,
One thing that on a human perspective onto it.
Yeah.
More than a user, the senior management is restless.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You don't want to see, the point is this, right? Security, as we all said, is a backbencher, right? Now what happens is, if it changes user experience, that's a major shift you are asking for, right? And you have to show immense value, which comes from either a legal or a regulator comes and tells you, or maybe if you're a B2B,
Absolutely.
right? Then a customer tells you, you will do it immediately the next day.
Yeah.
Now I am in right now B2C. I was in B2B all my life. Right? So B2B is like customer telling you will do it next day. In
Correct.
B2C market, the customers don't really care about security. Okay.
Yep.
Like most of the big companies have been breached, but you still use their products.
Correct.
Right.
We had a big hangama about Signal for a week.
Yeah,
After
exactly.
that, everybody uninstalled Signal, right? So we ourselves had 5-6 messenger app based on the security.
Exactly.
Because of a tweet in WhatsApp, the tweet in Twitter. So now, after 2 weeks, after a fortnight,
Very
we
good
all-
example,
We all
yeah.
uninstalled. I don't know
Very
where
good
is Signal. It has gone to my unzipped. It has gone to my RAR folder in my mobile. So that's the reality. Right?
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
And I know, right? We define for a 80 billion organization. We define the strategy. We don't care, to be honest, as a user.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And that's
As
the
a user,
mindset.
Absolutely. So user experience should not change.
How
at
do you
all.
get them as a sponsor, set by Satish in a very
Correct.
subtle note and complemented by Sanal? How do we bring them as a sponsor is the question, if we answer it.
Yeah, because they are the ones who are going to get impacted, right? So we don't go and ask them, but finally we know that the management at the top would raise the same voices, right? That hey, you're doing something, and if it impacts them, or even if it nudges them, you don't want to really touch that unless it's burning issue.
Yeah, correct. That's the reason I think so most of the solution providers across the IT industry, they don't provide a solution. They try to understand the business, okay, and then, as you mentioned, they do invoke the customization in that to match the business, right? So that's where they are trying to get partner, right? If you go 10 years back or 15 years back, there was no partnership. There was just a product or solution selling. Okay, now we talk about the partnerships. Okay.
Correct, absolutely.
So that's, I think, so things are moving, I would say, in a right path, right? And yes, we have to reach that part. As such as Satish sir rightly said, right? A lot of things has to be covered, but yes, we are moving in that direction. Anyone else wants to discuss on a topic, the biggest challenge in achieving the security objectives? So moving on to the next topic, Ganesh has already spoken about it. How do you balance your security and digital transformation? And this is very, very important because I think so we have discussed it in, I think so in bits and pieces in a previous topic discussion. But yes, we need to be very specific. How do you keep the balance? Okay.
Let me start.
Yes, sir.
So, because I had to go through this the last couple of years, there was a lot of push from the business. We all know. So basically, I come from the insurance industry, and we understand how the industry typically operates. We have this agent who comes and meets you, sits across the table, sells you the product. We have all gone through that, right?
Yeah.
These 2 years, no agent, no contacts, no physical interaction, nothing. So quickly the industry had to, get up and get going and create all those pieces so that at least his entire office then comes onto the single device. Now, as we continued on that journey, in fact, after 2 years, on behalf of the industry, I can say that, the entire sales journey, it's a complex journey, in fact. with the entire documentation, and you connect with all the government, Aadhaar and UIDs and every service, everything has been digitalized for the entire industry. Nothing is left. But at the cost of what? So when the CIOs and CTOs sit back and start checking, did I miss something back at the beginning? Did I miss something from the security perspective? Now that is the point that everyone is now reflecting on. So the best way, and I'm sure that this is only the beginning. There would be many such tipping points with the industry, for every industry in fact. It is critical that at the inception itself, let this be a part of your design program. Unless this is achieved, and this has to be driven by none other but the CIO and the CTO. It will not be driven by the sponsor sitting at the boardroom. It will not be asked by any end user.
Okay.
It has to be the person who is there on the chair controlling it. And unless this is part of the overall design, you will never be able to do justice to this. I have met multiple CIOs and CTOs in the last couple of years in my industry, and every single person has the same view that this has to be mapped. And as I was mentioning, if now the next stage is a complete cloud adoption, then that additionally adds another parameter of your complexity.
Correct.
You don't take care of this today, and you end up having challenges 6 months down the line.
Correct.
So this is something which I think has to start at the inception. Otherwise, it's difficult. Once the horse is bolted, it's really difficult.
So you meant to say whenever the idea is born, there should be a vision, what kind of risk, what kind of issues, challenges, obstacles is going to face, and then security and the technology should be aligned accordingly, right? Yes, sir. Anyone wants to speak on?
Yeah, I have one thought.
Yes, sir.
So basically, digital transformation and security, I don't see as the two. We don't need to balance.
Okay.
Actually, what sir is talking that once you go on a cloud, not even 6 months, next day you will get attacked. I mean that's how that's the truth, right? I mean it's not. If you are in B2C segment, then you are playing with you are the large customer base, and you may lose out in the market completely. If you are in B2B segment, the other company will stop working with you. So I mean, it is digital transformation is the reality, and without the security, I can't even think digital transformation. So I feel it is the mandatory requirement, and in my organization, and I'm sure other organization also, the first discussion about the cloud starts with security only. That okay, if I'm moving to the cloud, what about the security? What about this? How about taking care of this? So I mean, this is a transformation of the application. Every problem they can solve, but the security is it's a difficult to solve because there are compliance angle, there is a monitoring angle, there is a remediation angle, there is a visibility angle. I mean, many angles are there, and it's really many people don't understand that clearly, and that's where I see that digital leaders, CDOs especially, they need to really, as I agree with him, that they need to really align security from the day one.
Okay. So same thing, right? Whenever a new process gets initiated, identify the risk and then align the respective security process also.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. Okay. So we'll move to the next topic. Okay. This topic is related to what happened in past 2 years, right? We all saw drastic change, okay, from the business perspective, how employees are going to, okay, work. Okay, they are going to be working from various places, not from their offices, right? Okay. So that talks about visibility of the assets and resources, right? So how are you getting visibility of your environment? Because now there are no boundaries for the organization, right? Previously, we used to say, this is my infrastructure, okay? Logically, that is my perimeter boundary, okay, of my digital infrastructure. Now there are no boundaries, okay? So how are you having visibility of your assets, okay, across your infrastructure? Yes, sir.
I think I was waiting for somebody to start. I think let me start. So there are two things here. See, I think mainly I come from SAP background, of course, predominantly the new SAP. So One is asset maintenance, other one is asset accounting. There are two parts of it, right? Today, I don't know whether you need both. Maybe when you keep employee as a persona, but you still need both when you keep organization as a persona. Right? So when you keep employee as a persona, I think that's where your question is. Of course, today if you see it, everybody is talking about BYOD. Right? So there is no cost for an asset for a person to onboard. Right? But if you want a security, right? If you want a VPN from wherever they are, that's how it's going to be. The future of workspace is the same that we are talking in the context. So if that is the crux of it, so the question is the VDI, virtual desktop, or a VPN, whatever you talk, right, it's going to be more costly, right, than the on-premise when they are going to be in your inside your premises, right? So how are you going to strike a balance, right? If that's why I started about asset maintenance and asset accounting to start with a financial view, and then take you back to the reality. So how are we going to strike a balance between these two? Right? Number two. So is it okay to have a virtual spot offices for the sake of security, or we are going to spend huge in infra? Right? Still now, security as a service is not a cost efficient aspect. It's a very costly affair.
Correct.
You see it today, the way we, at least from my experience, right? So it's not a cheap, it's not a efficient affair. It's not a cost efficient or arbitrage. I can't arbitrage the cost. So having said that, how are we going to strike a balance from the hybrid workspace or the future workspace with all these available BYOD and personalized devices becoming a company managed assist? Today, my phone, if I have an Intune, if I have a security, my phone is a managed device. If you see in my asset accounting, if I put a list, I have to pay $7 to $8 to have a security. Right? For to manage my own phone, my phone company is going to pay $7. It's not a company phone, but in the company list assets, my phone ID will be there. So if that is the case, in addition, I'm going to spend O365 license. I'm going to spend collaboration license. I'm going to have whiteboard. I'm going to have many things that the user wants in my organization. Right? I'm just talking from a generic standpoint. So how am I going to spend? How am I going to convince my CFO that this is going to give a value? Finally, the ROI matrix is the same. Be it a security, be it a business, be it a UTC, OTC, all these metrics, right? So when you are going to build a value proposition, how are we going to convince is the biggest challenge? I think if we crack it, like how we have today, the KPMGs or Accentures of the world, they say on the cost they take a cut after they prove. So if we can do that, that is one way to look at it. I'm just giving my perspectives.
So just to add a context over here, when I'm saying asset, it is not technically, it should not be like a virtual system or a resource. It can be a valued information of an organization, okay, lying in the digital space. I think so. We can also consider that as an asset, right? So how do you have visibility on that?
There are various tools to kind of have various assets, right? I mean, if you have your PII data, there will be, like in Amazon, we have Macy where we track all our key confidential information lying, right? So there are various, depending upon the tools, depending upon the kind of content or data that we have tools and tech to kind of identify those assets, right?
Okay.
But now the challenge is in the startup world, right? Majority, there are a lot of BYODs also coming in, right? So we have 40-50% BYOD systems, and then so how we are looking at, because I work with a lot of the startup CISOs, right, where we are trying to create something like an airport, right? Like when you enter, right, it's kind of zero trust.
Correct.
Whether you're CM, PM, whoever you are, there will be certain checks and balances, right? It's very similar to your identity checks. Then they will check your route, right? They will check your ticket, like route A to route B, and then physical inspection of the packet, like they inspect you, right? So kind of analogy, right? They will inspect your packet, your payload, and then you fly on the cloud. Like the data gets onto the cloud. So the question is, and then the companies are looking at huge cost savings, right? Because and people are employed from across India and across the globe. We don't even know, forget about the assets, we don't even know where our employees are, right? So, right, and contractors, thousands and thousands of contractors, who is accessing from where, and vendors and so on and so forth. So, it is all about, I think, therefore the thought process is to have zero trust, right? And the point is you access from whichever device, whichever applications. When you enter my perimeter, you touch my perimeter, you have security, and then we have complete visibility of our information assets. It could be application systems, data within that. It could be RDS applications. It could be on cloud or off the cloud, or it could be on the vendors systems also, because we have thousands of vendors. So the data residing on our vendors is also an important asset for us. So it's not only our asset. So that's how we are kind of working to track those assets and manage security around those crown jewels that we have, because we can't secure all our assets for sure.
Yeah.
Right?
I think, Sunil, I have a question over here. Right?
Sure.
Now there are two different aspects of it. Right?
Yeah.
Now one which you recently bought was user experience.
Correct.
Right? Which is a very important aspect, be it internal to employees or your customers.
Correct.
Right?
Absolutely.
Now, as and when you build a security layer, like when you say a packet inspection,
Correct.
right? That's definitely gonna be a hindrance to the user
Correct.
experience.
Create friction.
Yes.
Right. Yeah.
So how do you balance that? What are the ways?
So the way we balance out is, the ones which are really, really important, right? Let's say from a GDPR standpoint, right? Your acceptable cookie consent,
Right.
or your policies that you need to put in place, or it could be an MFA for our customers. Like if somebody is accessing, you'll have authentication, right? But we try and create seamless experience like JWT token that will insert so that user does not have issues in terms of that, right? And we'll create, so we will work on a system to create the least touch points, right? वो user को 2 click नहीं होना चाहिए, 1 click में ही होना चाहिए काम, right? So user experience should not differ. So security try करेंगे, कोशिश करेंगे other ways से, other means and ways through which we can try and do VAPT or try and various ways. Yeah, it should not hamper business.
No. Again, this will bring the security to the backstage again.
Yeah, so that's right.
Let me tell you, that's okay. Security
Yeah.
I agree.
It's important. Last way.
We'll be happy
This is
sitting at
more
the.
This is more important. Security is.
So what he's saying is, don't put.
I seen a lot of parallel CEOs losing the job because of the same.
Correct.
Security बाद में देखेगा, पर धंधा करने तो पहले.
That's the mindset.
So we are trying to use technologies which could, and that's where the problem statement. This is the biggest problem statement, right? How would you use technologies creating the least friction, which I said the first point. So users को दिखना ही नहीं चाहिए, right? Just like your airport, yeah, when you enter, if you are like the least resistant, you as a customer will be more happier, right? But there might be various technologies they might be using, which is you are not able to see through your naked eyes, right? There might be things which are going on at the backdrop. You can do a lot of monitoring. You can use AI technologies. You can use, as I said, JWT token, which we are using to create seamless experience. We will do a lot of bug bounty programs to make sure that ये hack हो सकता है क्या, या नहीं हो सकता है. अगर हो सकता है, then we are probably using even passwordless technologies to make sure that वो password ही नहीं रहे.
Today we have Face ID is there where you don't need a password, right?
Not
Like,
only
just
that,
swipe
see,
it and
today we are talking about adaptive authentication. The system is adapting you basically.
Correct.
It is changing you.
Absolutely,
Let
you're right,
it-
well
let it,
said.
let it,
And वो security issues होंगे यार. I mean, the security issues will always be there. You are not solving 100%. See, the way our management or in previous management is, you're not boiling the ocean, right?
Exactly.
So long as you are creating assurance to your customers, to your board, to your stakeholders, reasonable assurance, right? And even to the compliance work that we are doing what we could do best, but doesn't mean that but if you are in if you're building aircrafts or you're building systems which are like to the point, right, or military institutions where you have to be like 100% to the teeth, then that's a separate story.
Then there's a cost, but finally it comes back to same.
cost.
Yeah, finally it comes
That is the reason,
same.
right? Gartner is saying huge amount of spending is going on,
Lower the
right,
cost.
in the
And
business
also,
transformation.
finally the basics remain same. You look at risk management, high risk पे focus करो. You
Correct.
based
So
on-
it all boils down to the assurance first.
Absolutely.
Actually,
That's why
I
the
think
fundamental
the critical point what which he is mentioning is reasonable.
Yes.
Yes.
The balance.
The balance. I mean,
Balance,
you have to
balance.
look at the context of your industry and then come to that reasonable point.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correctly. I mean, if you are designing an aircraft, I mean, you have got 500 lives at stake.
you will have to go to the team.
There's zero
Correct.
tolerance.
Zero tolerance, absolutely zero
Right.
tolerance. Then look at your
The
industry
margin of
and
errors is
context.
based on
Yeah.
the industry we are in. See, from my side, I think it's a balance between service excellence and experience. For example, if it is a billing system, I'm just talking about zero tolerance on the security. If it is an experience,
Yeah, absolutely.
if it is an experience topic, if I'm going to launch my CX360 customer experience management platform, if I load the customer with security, I have to close my business. Second, and I'm just coming.
Very good point.
Second, human experience. Today, the human-centered business is the
Yeah.
team.
Yeah.
Correct.
So when I take human, if you see, the one who is going to pay me is a human.
Correct.
The one who is going to get my pay is also a human.
Yeah.
Right? And the one who is going to invest is also the human.
Correct.
So all these guys are human. So I have to have an experience.
Yeah.
But the excellence part, I'll go with your approach. But the experience part, I'll go with this approach. Today, unfortunately or fortunately, the B2B is dead. Everything is B2C. The C might be, we know the C or not, we don't know, but
No.
B2C exists. So the experience we can't
We call
call.
it B2B2C.
I think
It's B2B2C.
Yeah,
No, no,
yeah.
I think
Yeah.
the bottom line,
Good
if
point.
you look at it, right, it depends on the risk appetite of a company.
That's what I said.
Of a, I would say
Organization or anything.
person, I think so, right?
Business.
Between the
If you
two
see a
person,
product
what's the risk
company
appetite?
Like Inmobi or Bosch or SAP or Oracle or any Workday or any product companies, if you see it,
Mhm.
the tacit knowledge, I think you touched upon the
Absolutely,
tacit
absolutely.
knowledge. The tacit knowledge is within the organization. If you talk about professional services, Indian pure play, right, where you have 5 lakhs employees, Accenture has got 500 million employees, Wipro has got 300,000 employees, 400,000 employees. There is nothing like knowledge, right? The knowledge is pervasive, content is pervasive, the methodologies or the frameworks or the IPs are the asset.
Yeah.
And the people. So in that case, the tacit knowledge is less, right? But it is process driven. So they have to secure the process. Other than that, everything is plagiarism. Like if you see the other way, right? Everything is Google Baba is there, GitHub is there, right?
Definitely.
And you have semantic layers, you have contents everywhere, and the content is useless after 18 months because the skills die.
Yeah.
Whatever skill you hire for after 18 months, the skill becomes the shelf life of the skill is dead in all the pure
It's
plays.
almost 18 minutes.
18 months if you see it, right? I'm just talking about an average. Some skills retain and the skill is
That is a
yes, that have
curve,
from
nice
the
curve,
commodity
And
standpoint.
it's a good point you said, right? If you are really want to look at the excellence in security, then you show cost saving also, like
Yeah.
billing.
Yeah.
If you do cost saving or for a certain section you do fraud management, right? If there are a lot of bots killing your business, right? Or there is a lot of let's say Netflix, right? Would invest heavily on if somebody is using their licenses, misusing their licenses. They would heavily invest because you can show a bit of cost saving in that, right? So वहाँ पे correct. So that
is asset. That is
Yeah, asset.
That is an
See,
asset.
in the absence of what is the cost?
Yes.
So
Correct.
my value comes not by my presence, by my absence. So that articulation is the,
Amazing articulation.
that articulation is the biggest challenge for you if you are going to come to any of us as a value proportion player.
I'll consider.
I will have a resolution for that, yeah. Definitely.
My come with
Because I have been in sales all my life. The first time, that is what karma is. That's they call. Why? Because
Very good.
I have been selling to CA. Was today I have to play the CA and deliver all the shit I have sold in my life. Okay, that's why I am just giving both the perspectives. Okay, actually, somewhere we should believe that karma exists. Okay, at least in this case, in a positive way. Okay.
So you created a huge database, right? What CI is going to face, and then you have it for your experience, right? Yes.
I just want to add.
Yes, sir.
I can't stop commenting, but I want to comment on 2 points about
Yes, sir.
aircraft because we make aircrafts.
Oh, great.
Wow.
Is that, the aircraft security is completely different.
Right.
So for me, in my experience working for almost 6 years, it's a different security altogether. You don't
Right.
mix up with cyber and all.
Yeah.
An aircraft has got almost 20 to 30 computers
Wow,
and a
right.
separate firewall onto it.
Mhm.
And how it is managed because there's a core. As
Exactly.
rightly mentioned about lives, human lives. So
Correct.
it's a different domain altogether. And I from cyber, I don't get involved in the aircraft security. It's a different team.
But it will be world class.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Exactly.
Right, yeah. So depending on the aircraft model, like small, large, and medium.
Mhm.
So like A380 is the biggest jumbo. It has got more aircraft computers.
Correct.
Absolutely.
Right. So it all goes on. Second point, coming to the main question, what you mentioned about assets. So asset is the critical part, and how do you see with a different lens? Because the historic IT world has been not still there, or digital transformation. So we got different types of assets, human assets. It depends on the HR.
Correct.
And again, we got financial assets with the finance teams, with the CFO gets involved very much as one part of it. And then we also got the cloud applications, and we got data center in-house and the different tablets or computers and all. So my perspective is that we have deployed a concept called as security business partners, wherein each business, as our friends have told about security being the back seat and all, and Satish has clearly mentioned what would happen to the CISOs coming to the front thing. So the point is that now we make business accountable, saying that, hey, look, you put this percentage of your resource because you know your business, we will train them on it. As a HR business partner, there is a finance business partner, there is a customer service business partner, technology provider, and then the assets come on to wherein we have ITIL, which tells the IT people to do it. But now it comes to the cloud assets. How can we do it? So we do have also architecture review teams where the business partners do, and then we have an application where like a portfolio where everybody has to endorse them.
Okay.
And of course, shadow IT we can't inhabit. Most of us speak about it.
Yes.
So that is there. That's part of living, because in the daytime shadow is less, in the evening time it becomes grow. So we have to know when the shadow grows and we have to catch it up.
Yep.
So it's a happening game. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you. I know every topic I think everybody can talk about for a day or for months, right? Because we day in, day out, we experience it, right? So next topic is related to one of the three major things that I said, right, which can address the cloud adoption challenges, right? So when we talk about a security team that manages, okay, incidents, events, alerts, something which is not working, something which is not working as per the expectation, something which is affecting the user experience, right? So these are the incidents, right? And when I say incidents, it can be related to something which is not related to security, but related to technology as well, and the incidents which are related to security as well, as outages or any threats or any activities, right? So how do you choose what to focus on? Because I'm now categorizing the incident, not related to security, and in both of them, how do you choose what to focus on? What becomes your priority, or what catches your attention?
Business critical.
Business critical, right?
Business critical. See, traditionally we all know that incident management. What is the incident which is really impacting my business? I think that's where typically the focus goes on, and that becomes a P0. P0 is always P0.
Right.
But it is no more a traditional security incident. I think login ticket, it has no meaning.
Absolutely. I think it's all about business. Focus completely on business. So even your logbooks, your run books, your use cases, everything that you design, right? When you design, you have to design keeping business in mind, right? That if this goes down, then this is the impact of the revenue loss that we will have, right? So if you do that way, then your logbooks and run books that you're working on will have more meanings. And
so today it's a reverse way.
No,
We do it that way.
And I would say that this is nothing called security is more priority there.
Correct.
Business is more priority there, and if because of security business is suffering, then security becomes a priority.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, exactly.
It's like our BESCOM, right? Nobody is going to call BESCOM and say thank you for your service. I'm not going to call BESCOM. Hey, BESCOM, thank you so much. I'm getting this amount of KB as the watt as the service. All my 3 ACs are functioning. My mixie is functioning. Something is wrong there.
That is expected out of them, right?
Exactly. That is exactly now how are we going to get into your context, right? So we should first sign up that we are entering into a thankless zone,
Right.
and the most hated zone. So we sign up for that, right? And second, when we sign up for that, how are we going to convince the sponsors? The guy who is going to spend doesn't know anything about this.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Right?
But having said that, again, it's a industry type. Like, still there are industries, BFSI and all, right, where you have to
Very
compliance audit. See, today
Yeah.
most of security is done to manage compliance and audit.
yes, yeah.
So for that, you have to have.
The easiest opportunity I see here is the service opportunity. The service and consulting opportunity is more than the the product is
It depends on organization. Imagine if your
If
PCD
you,
is
if you ask me,
then
in our industry, it goes hand in hand.
absolutely.
Absolutely.
It's a regular process. It's not an annual exercise.
Exactly.
Every quarter, it's getting reviewed. One report goes to the regulator, one report goes to the MD's desk. So this is a constant process. I have this unenviable task of saying that nahi, pehle ye karo, pehle ye, nothing like that. You have to attend to both, and this is a regular running exercise.
Because there's a stick in the air, na? Stick in the air. That's because regulators.
Exactly.
Now, review regulators and then you'll see.
Then who will decide?
That's
That's difficult.
challenge is industry without regulation.
That is the challenge.
Correct.
Now you might have seen certain new mandate, right?
Yes,
But
yes,
that
So
also-
that's another.
that also I think
No,
they-
There are new
Cash cows.
amendment frameworks coming in. There are RBI uncertain.
No, ITSM का framework, ITL का framework कब से? But until the regulator says that, then only people
Exactly.
agree, right?
Yes.
I think what you refer to was the new governance law that certain has brought in, right?
Yeah.
If there is an incident, within 6 hours you need to publish.
That is a regulator's problem, right?
Yes,
It's a very
because we are
hot topic.
mandating.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The logs they want to ask. For example, when they ask the logs, so should we also again build a data centers to have stored data, the backup of it to maintain for the next 3 to 5 years? It's a cost.
Actually, there is another angle to it because now this has become such an interconnected world.
Right.
I think someone spoke about partners.
Yes.
Now, if you are connected with so many partners, the partners industry might be
Right.
well regulated. And he might not really ask
Ah.
you, let you operate in, like a
Silos.
wild west kind of format. And he will rather ask you that, boss, please get into line. So this is
Yeah.
all becoming of one single
And-
monolith
One
structure.
ecosystem.
And
Yeah.
let me tell you, the cert requirement also, people never understood the requirement.
Yeah.
See, the objective of cert asking CISO's report is to help the ecosystem. See,
Correct.
other people
Yes.
have other companies.
Yes. Adding the
Bank
intelligence.
record
Yeah.
Yes.
So let cert take the data and alert other banks in for there's a DDoS attack coming in, so please be ready. But लोग उसको उल्टा पकड़ के 6 hours
मेरे को
how
तो
can
बोल
I
रहा है।
report, why
मेरे
can
को तो
how
बोल
can I
रहा है।
report, why should, then people
Exactly.
get complex. See, the objective of cert is, see, the 6 hours reporting is not new, honestly.
Yeah.
RBI framework already said this,
Long time
2016 itself, they said that within 2 to 6 hours, the first level reporting. But people are understood, even the CISO committee said that second day में तो पता नहीं चलता कुछ नहीं होता है.
वही।
ठीक है, 6 hours में just for, I call it as it's like FIR. You file a FIR because, and then the investigation starts. So the first level reporting is between 2 to 6 hours.
Yeah, but
No, at least
if
have
that
that
we want to take names, the large retail chain, they got breached because of the partner system.
Yeah.
I mean, everybody knows.
Everyone knows that.
Yeah.
A lot of organizations.
No, so they, because partner के system में problem था, and so I'm saying even if I know, I actually in our organization everything is process oriented, so I know exactly which system are in production, where the data, all this. But what I don't know is that
So
I
when
don't
you say
know. Right? I
partner,
haven't-
that is where the third party risk comes in.
Exactly.
When risk is a big risk. We all know
Big,
that.
big thing.
We all know
I
that.
think
But it's not, I think most of the organizations are following the third party risk evaluation.
Not everyone.
Not
At
everyone.
least not in India.
Not everyone.
Correct.
Correct.
See, again,
Unless
goes back to-
a regulator asks for it.
Yeah.
I'm clearly reminded of one example, one past example. We were tying up with a bank as a bank assurance partner. So we all understand banks today sell, 50% of the insurance
Right.
products in the market. Interestingly, when we were connecting the network, my counterpart, he called me up and said that, we are very sorry, we are on TLS 2.0 and you are on 1.2. We need a very, very clear understanding on this. Now, this is a partner who's going to be my distributor.
Yeah.
He's my distributor. He is now forcing me to upgrade something on my end.
Yes.
So this is the other end of the spectrum
Yeah,
that
yeah,
we are.
absolutely. That is a very good thing actually.
Of course. I mean,
Yeah.
and we immediately had to. We had to go for a knee-jerk reaction on that. I mean, otherwise, we were losing that huge business
This,
opportunity.
this is where it turned into business criticality.
It became a business criticality. It went all the way to the board because when we had to invest, we had to take some exceptions. We had to go back to our regulator because here it was our regulator and RBI. So many entities then got into it.
Yeah.
So this is again I'm saying because of the overall ecosystem, overall monolithic structure that we are playing into. This is now becoming a question which is being answered at a different level, not at an entity level.
So just to add on to this to the point, my thought when I say incident, I normally talk about programs or processes, never a solution, right? So as you mentioned, right, if there is something which is not working in the business, then you should have that information. It may not be given by SIM, it may not be going to produce a solution, right? most of the organizations should have that incident response mechanism or program in place, okay, which I believe is kind of lacking. It's broken, or I would say it's very limited, okay, it's directed in a particular manner. So if business is getting impacted, how will you come to know? But not from a security viewpoint or from any other viewpoint. There has to be a proper incident response program. Either we include people, we include different processes, we understand the processes, we understand what kind of systems they have, not the digital systems, but the different systems they have or department they have, okay. And that will also address the security incidents as well as the incidents which is related to business as well. Can we move to next topic?
Last topic.
No, sir. I have many topics. Okay. So this one is, I would say, you have already answered it, but let me put it in a different manner because we can directly answer it. How are you managing the complexity of managing your cloud environments?
Thanks
And-
to tools.
Okay.
I think
Is it efficient?
Yeah.
Okay.
So efficient is, see, it is the evolution stage.
It's an evolution.
Okay.
But let me be honest, when vendors are discovering what to do, and it's a partnership between, it's a
Correct.
collaboration.
Okay.
Collaborate.
I don't take name, but we are working with a very large vendor where it's like a, because the multi-cloud is, today we are living in multi-cloud.
Correct.
It goes without saying, like look at my example, we run on all clouds. But my China business runs on any cloud, because typically,
They don't have AWS.
I will talk of AWS, Azure, GCP and all, but
They have their own.
in China, my business runs on any cloud. So I mean, it's not that all partners are ready to get that ability to manage any cloud also. So that's how we are. But yeah.
Are you talking efficiency for security or overall efficiency?
Overall, managing the cloud environment.
Managing
Not from a
cloud-
security point of view, right?
Cloud
Because-
itself, yeah. we are
See, every
equivalent.
cloud has their own native, but we're talking about how do we manage all clouds in a single pane of glass. This is the biggest challenge.
That's one thing. And second thing, obviously, cloud itself is very complex. Look at Amazon, right? There are 100 services running, so many thousands of cloud. So you need every day our clear focus is to create more efficiency. So we have that as a charter only, right? Every day we look at how we cut costs, work with so many other vendors to see or tools or tech which is coming into save costs. Because the way cloud came in about 5, 7 or whatever 10 years back, is saying, hey, we'll save so much money for you.
We're not saying.
And the billing is not
Actually,
हमको
cloud
लग रहा है
is-
data center was
Cloud is
cheaper.
more costlier actually.
More
If you see,
expensive.
it's more
In
expensive.
fact, there are companies who have started reverse migration.
We are also doing, yeah.
We are also doing it. So cloud is hyper expensive.
Hyper
actually. The
expensive.
hyper clouds are hyper expensive. Like if you see it, the way the cloud is.
Yeah.
So even the partners are also on the evolution journey.
Absolutely.
It's not that they are here to fleece money. They also know there's a partnership,
Yeah.
but they also are on the evolution journey. They are also figuring out, okay, by doing this, something is not
Yeah.
working, or your meters are running at a 2x speed or something like that.
Correct. And you look at Microsoft Cloud, right? Office 365. They'll tell you ये $5, right? Then they'll tell you catalog of security services. Now what happens is when you want to enable any of, so they'll tell you that ये है सारी चीजें, right? They have all these things, but when you encounter an incident,
Exactly.
to enable X, you need Y.
Yeah.
Now for that Y license, you need something else like
Exactly.
So you end up
You start with E3 or
E3
E5
and
or-
then you want to integrate something else, you need another license. So what happens is you end up paying so much money, right? That it will be like a lot of money that you spend.
And you have to have a sorry face
Yeah,
to your sponsor all the time because
correct.
the sponsor doesn't know ABC of it. That's
Yeah.
why I hired you. Now you are
Correct.
saying every time you come and say you pay me more, you pay me more,
Exactly.
you kill it and go to something else.
We actually did reverse in my earlier stint, right? We saved about 80% of the cost on Microsoft. 80%, right? Because there are a lot of licenses they don't even market. So you really need a lens, and then we hired licensing manager only to save costs. That's how you build efficiency,
Yeah.
and it's an evolution journey that we are in, right?
It's a very important point, right? See, in some of the cases, we are fascinated by the word
Yeah,
cloud, right?
cloud.
Yeah.
Correct.
It's a fascination and you
Correct.
can even say fantasy to an extent, right? The problem here with the
Right.
fascination or the fantasy is it completely hides your logical sense, right?
Yeah.
Time to market is I want it tomorrow, okay, get it tomorrow. Then you have to maintain it for a year because even for
Correct.
tomorrow,
Absolutely.
you have to prepare the complete TCO, you have to prepare a decision analysis resolution. You have to prepare a whole 9 yards of why I have to go this against this. You do that, and tomorrow you wanted to scale. You wanted to scale the volume, you wanted to scale the feature, you wanted to scale the verticalization of different business LOBs in the cloud. You have to pay more. pay more, and finally you don't have the visibility and control and traceability. Track and control you don't have. Today, if you see,
That's where cloud governance comes in.
exactly, cloud governance is a big topic, and you have to pay more to cloud governance than to pay a purchase guy.
Absolutely.
Right? So who manages my inventory? So the problem here is there are multifold problem with this, right? So let's understand the reality. It is like pre-marriage and post-marriage, right? So running a family. So exactly it is the case here. To bring an analogy here, the infra sometimes we have to kill the capex. The capex cost is sometimes lesser than the opex cost when you calculate it.
Oh, it is. Over a TCO of, if you see 3 to 5 years, you would get a very clear view. The capex is actually almost 20% less than what you would have already paid, and then you are still having the ownership of the entire asset.
Exactly.
And
then
control
at the end
also.
of 3 years,
Better control.
better control.
What happens tomorrow if they introduce a surge price or maybe a new feature or a bug or whatever, then you're gone, right?
But having said that, startups want to go fast, fail fast.
तो चलता है।
In that mode, it's fine because they are burning cash.
Correct.
Scale बहुत ज़्यादा fast
Everything
है।
has pros and cons, right? Cloud introduces agility, right?
But
Cloud
again-
is great for PaaS,
Absolutely.
Ready-made PaaS services, but not for infra.
But it's like business, na? When you have predictability,
Yes.
for them it's okay, you can still be on cloud. But when the cyclical businesses, or when you want to stretch or scale your business very fast and down, then cloud becomes a little bit more better.
That's where the concept of hybrid cloud or declouding is coming into picture.
Yeah,
Yes.
yes.
I think that is the evolution. Like people are saying that okay, I reverse migrate, but the reality is that once you start managing your own cost, and then somebody will again move, and then again will say that see, I saved 80%.
So CFOs are leading that charge, by the way.
Yes.
The decloudification journey, in fact.
Yeah.
Every time they are going and saying that, okay, with this premise we had started 3 years back. Now just look at the overall cost that we have incurred over the last 3 years.
See, now, this is where we strike a balance between flexibility and the cost.
No, not like that.
Now, I'll tell you the reason why. Because today, we need scalability with respect to customers. Like, let's say, let me take a simple example of Flipkart, right? But initially, when the big billion days came in, they failed, right? Now, if you look at the traditional infrastructure, now the infrastructure, if you look at it, it's hybrid. Where you have front-end servers which manages the user access, but the data is stored on-premise.
That's exactly what I'm saying. So we
That's
need
fine. Exactly.
We need a balance of that.
Exactly. So that's what I said, right? See, on your front end, when they have big billions here, you have to scale up your servers really fast, right? You have to increase your asset loads and EC2 instances and all. If at one time you need, backend पे तो database तो
See, again, it depends on the amount of data and predictability that you bring.
predictability. That's what I
Just
said.
where a CFO had for a one-day wonder. Come on, what are you do? What
They
are you
fired.
going to do? Second day, what you will do?
Yes.
After you scale down. So that's where I've see. Let's have multiple hats, right? See, from a CSO hat, I'm game for it. Let's go for it. From a CFO hat, no. Next day, what you will do?
But I'll give one example. I myself have experienced. The two application developers has designed their application, and they put it on AWS. One design keeping the cost in mind also. Okay, whether I should use this services as per my needs. So they have designed a really keeping the cost as one of the factors in the technology decision.
Got it.
And other guy, what they did all the fancy thing that okay, scalability, I need to have this. So now after 1 year, this guy started making a profit. Because there is a customer, suppose they have a 2 customer came, 3rd customer came, they started getting a profit. The other guy is bleeding. Okay, I built it, now what I have to do? I cannot shrink it because the other customer will shout who are actually already using it. I need to make a change. So I mean, once you design a cloud, it's like they are very shrewd people. I mean, cloud provider. You have to choose very wisely what to do, what to make use.
Opting out is very difficult again.
Yeah, the wisdom. That's where the wisdom plays, right?
Yeah.
So in some of the
You took away my point.
Just one point on
Yes,
that. One more thing is happening, a different perspective in the COVID situation in the last 2-3 years. So there are companies and startups when they want to migrate, like they're acquiring a new business. So there is shortage of chips. So you can't get your on-prem servers and all. So I have seen also those situations where they were not able to get it, and they got timelines where the board says acquire this company, done. So one choice, go to the cloud. So that's one thing. And then I think you might have heard about the classic Marriott breach, where Marriott has taken over the company and the entire security response was completely submerged. The other thing. The third thing I want to add the perspective also is like, I think it's like a car, like a hatchback, sedan, or a SUV or a Jaguar. So big companies, when they have their products, they want to have a Jaguar type of security. You have to pay for it and you have to maintain because you're getting the money.
Yeah.
You don't have a choice. And then going for a sedan, so you are looking for a sedan normally, just like a Maruti with a boot like design, okay. But now you want ABS, EBD, TPMS, and all of it, and 6 airbags, 8 airbags. You have to pay for it because we require for it.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's how I think it is there. So from security perspective, we don't have a choice because the CIOs, CTOs, or DTOs, they are making because they run the business. So it is job for a job for a job where the roles have to maintain and manage it. That's one.
Right. Thank you, sir. Okay. So when I think about managing an environment, right, I think about two things: tools and people. Right? Process comes by default with that. Right? So, as sir rightly mentioned about took an example of two developers building a solution, right? So I believe, okay, please add in your inputs. If we have a right set of people in place to manage any environment, okay, I think so we can efficiently manage it, okay, and we can also add a business certification, cost justification to it, right? So I have observed, right, I have seen, right, there are organizations who have a cloud team, and moment I ask them for one single integration, okay, they start Googling it, okay, and they open everything for me. I mean, in my POC.
Okay. There's the talent shortage in talent issue. I think
That is definitely there across the market.
we can divide the whole
Yeah.
life
Yes,
cycle.
Great resignation.
Not
At least for next 1 year, we'll have great resignation. After we'll have great recession. So, that is something which is in our way, right?
Job ही नहीं होगा.
So already already that's what they call the what next, right? What next? What next after VUCA? What next after VUCA is black swan. The black swan is around us. It is watching us. Right? We don't know where it is, where the black swan is. Right? That is exactly the point. The great resignation. Next is great recession is just next to that.
So the right talent, getting right talent is very
Very
difficult.
difficult.
So I think you have to just keep building and.
The answer to your question is, that's a very chaotic topic, right? If we zero trust, and these are like paradox.
Nothing to do with information security itself.
Exactly.
You touch any part of technology to any part. The same problem comes to fore, and we'll keep on debating about this.
The reason I brought up the topic because my topic, the next topic is related to it. Okay.
Managed services.
No.
The next managed
Good
services,
guess,
not
but yeah.
selling.
How do you manage the culture of security across the organization?
I think it's the culture before organization. I think we should look at, as you said, right? We are humans. We are in a society, so that societal culture itself plays a larger role, right? For privacy, for example, right? So I think that's one. As जो चलता है, right? Like as a human, how many of us have installed antivirus on our phone? That's first, right? So culture depends upon where you belong, which society you belong, a country, the culture of the country itself, and so on and so forth. That's one. But and then secondly, for an organization, your regulators also play an important role because anything culture will trickle down from the top, right? So that's the second point where you try and build culture. Like if you ask a startup guy to build culture, you know how challenging that is. But I think more. So I've spoken to a lot of CISOs in the US, right, and in Germany also. A lot of guys are now saying, forget about the culture part, right? What we are here is to prevent a breach, for example. Let's focus on that. Ye culture, awareness, all of that will slowly flow in because there are so many variables.
The problem is the people are worried about the bread.
Right.
On a day-to-day basis. You are asking about the topping of a pizza. Right? Today, the biggest pain I as a developer have on the table is to deliver.
Correct.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So the
Good
culture,
idea given me.
I have to fight for my bread today. Right? So after I fight for the bread, then I will think about the later part.
No,
So
but I taking it seriously. Culture plays a role. I mean, just saying that. I mean, I don't want to discount your point. Culture has to be there. Security culture comes like that. Like if if the organization says that okay, you please when you join, you have to go through this kind of training. In a yearly basis, you have to go through this kind of training. Importance they can see on the people's when the leadership talks about it. They can like developers or employees. They can feel that okay, what is important for the this organization. Accordingly, they act. You don't need to really create a metric or some structured program, but you have to really speak. You have to talk, give importance to that. Okay, that one guy is coming and saying that okay, I'm launching this application. Is a senior guy asking that have you taken care of the security? Have you taken care? Have you thought about that? Okay, what is the compliance requirement? So that kind of awareness top down is very important, and not just top down means that just CFOs guys and CXO guys need to speak up to manager level. Up to manager level, they have to really talk and slowly. And the easiest thing to fix at the developer level. That is the cheapest thing to do.
See, culture is always top down.
Yeah.
See,
Yeah, people
typically,
will move, na?
I call it security and all. Until you don't talk in your all
Yeah,
hands.
absolutely.
Your
All hands.
All
Yeah.
hands.
Yeah.
If you imagine the CEO is talking security is priority, it makes no difference.
But brother,
If he is not talking security, he says security चलता है आगे बढ़ो तो then.
देखो वो मजाक उड़ा रहा है. These guys are only creating a roadblock for me.
और क्या है ना, तुम बातें करोगे और बजट नहीं दोगे.
Exactly. So that's where I was coming. The bread and the toppings is the question there. So now if we talk about it top down, tell me see, is security a lucrative career?
Correct.
I would say yes.
No. I'm not asking you because so I'm just saying, right? See how many dream guys, tier 1 college guys join security organization and compared to a startup organization where the digital nativity is a top line. So I'm just trying to bring it, right? If you take McAfee, it's also a high it's a white collar paying, high paying job, right? It's definitely a golden platter. How many joins McAfee? How many joins Baiju? If you see it. Right, I'm just telling from a motivation standpoint. See, the motivation should be very important. Maybe that's where I think if we have an add-on, right, to an application, right, which scans and says the risk, so your code won't be deployed if you fix it. Right, you create a governance there and give some exceptions and say this can be fixed later. This can. That's where exactly if you.
But having said that, I think a lot of things. See, when we talk of governance, culture, ethics, behavior are very important pillars. So, correctly, in IT governance, we talk about
values,
culture, ethics, and behavior because that.
But most of the time, I've seen organizations, every organization, I think so, they have a practice. Moment an employee joins the organization,
Values.
there are certain
Values.
values and
Principles.
tests, okay, or I would say exams, right, or certification, they have to go through it. But I have rarely seen an organization doing a drill for that.
No, I think,
So
I was.
Or is there a practice?
There are actually. So I think that's what Sunil was mentioning. It all depends on which segment of the industry you are talking to. So typically, like in BFSI, there is no other option. I mean, the culture has to be driven through. It has to be hammered through the head, in fact.
Absolutely.
And every quarter there would be some drill going on. Every quarter you will find some phishing mail in your box. And the moment
we do it.
you immediately
You reply that.
Immediately, you will be given a nice award next day.
Absolutely.
With your garland on your
Wall of fame.
So all of those things will happen. It all depends on the industry. So typically, where you are, if I'm driving on the Hyderabad ORR, there are 4 lanes, 80, 80, 100, 100. The moment I go from 100 to 120, immediately the camera will catch you there.
That's exactly.
Will that happen if I'm driving from here to Jayanagar? That will never happen. So it all depends on which environment, which ecosystem you are.
Like I think there is no scope for that.
But I think the culture more than that, because I was in one of the exercise where we are building culture not for security but overall organizational culture, right? So one of the key thing is you go everywhere, you will see all values, all of that. But when I was discussing right with my boss earlier was that the culture happens by your action, like ethics, right? So customer ka escalation hai, right? Major escalation, and I was with my boss CEO, right? And he said, I told him, yaar, isko ye bana ke nikal jate. He said, no, we will tell that we were wrong and we will say sorry about it. Now
That creates a lot of
principle.
That's the principle.
Exactly. So you have taken one action and now that will trickle down to people. Yaar, aise hua na, I will also follow that.
Yes.
Instead of writing on the
Safety
wall,
net.
right? You're writing on the wall and you're not practicing it. So it's a practice. The culture is a practice that you do over a period of time. Then it becomes a culture. Absolutely.
One more thing to just to add, just as I just mentioned, it should come from top down. I met a CEO at France, not in the company. He was in the federal prison for 8 years. Okay, he was saying that it was not my fault, but because of what the company has happened, it has been happening.
Yeah.
And then he told that there are checklist programs wherein they want to drive culture,
Correct.
95%, 99% KPI, put a supply
Very
and
important.
it's an eyewash. And there's also a concept of, which, not a concept, but generally the word willful disobedience. I have been trained, but I will do it because it's a vested interest. When you see about the fintech and the financial banking, there are insiders which are very much there in the federal prisons, big companies.
Very
Yeah,
much, very much.
Next thing also is that when I take induction, it's also a cultural thing, where I could see like induction becoming fat, obese. Where every department says it is our motto, this is what it is.
Absolutely.
I call it as like sometimes putting the new guys in a multiplex theater for one day, ask them to watch fight, movies, different languages. So that's the thing. But however,
Yeah.
we have to go through wherein we have to do a
Absolutely.
game change, give the right message, and then try to do that. And for me, I try to do with the business function wherein I get a buy-in from them, and then tell them I will come to your meeting. Now here, everybody is a mindset, right? I call you for a meeting 9 o'clock. You may not be able to come because you have other priority. But if I come to your weekly meeting, that means you're already open for that, and you're cutting down your weekly thing and promoting.
Very good.
Yes.
So that's one thing which has to be done.
Absolutely.
And the other thing is that the last thing about always we have challenge is elevator talk is there, but now C-suite, are they ready for it? They say that we know everything, but they are the ones it is there.
Absolutely.
But still we have to see that one of our friends has mentioned about top-down again.
Yeah.
We have to go there and
So the good part, if you look at RBI cybersecurity framework, they clearly called out awareness on top management.
Top management.
Very clearly called out.
Yes.
It is, in fact, it's a
Awareness to board.
A very, very important topic.
above the top, not only from the the allocation of resources as we were talking about, but also something like that. Are we actually doing it upfront ourselves? The leadership has to sort of be there and do it, and it should be visible to everyone.
For example, you install an NDS and CEO में बोलेगा मैं तो नहीं
Exactly.
डालूंगा, right? That's a very good example.
मुझे बाहर निकाल, मुझे
मुझे नहीं चाहिए, बस बाकी सब में डालो. Don't put MD on my phone. That's a classic example, right? So that's how it starts.
A goal in his or her goal sheet, security as a part of it, a compliance as a part of it, so that the onus is on the application owner. Even though he or she hates it, they have to follow.
Yeah.
Right? Because it is for the greater goodness of the organization. So we have a stake of 5% stake in every application that we deliver. Of course, we have a separate team for DSO and CASO, but every application owner should own it. Right? He or she is responsible for it. So if anything goes wrong, I can't say DSO team failed. I am also there in that as a part of it.
Yeah.
So that is one way they have tried to mitigate it. Of course, they are also very active. They have a lot of awareness sessions. But this is something they did recently to
Very
bring
good.
in our stake.
No,
Yep.
no, we
Make people accountable.
we made a security as a metric. So let's say we have multiple application owners. So every application owner need to report that metric, and that metric we have consisted with the weighted average of certain things. So finally that number comes, and that number needs to be reported into the staff meeting, into the CTO meeting, etc. So that is a partner is the approach definitely.
So, going to the next point, and I'm going to go visit the same point, and I want to understand, right? Because we offer security solutions. That means we are trying to innovate in security by understanding your business and your processes, right? So, how are you responding to security skills shortage? Responding, I'm not saying, I mean, it's there, I know it's there, it's across everywhere, but how are you responding?
Praying. I couldn't think of any other.
One of the things actually we are doing, and I don't know this will. So we have created loosely connected people. Let's say everybody doesn't report to like same people, but those who are interested, those who actually are there security, but those who are really interested to come to the security side. So such group we call it special interest group. So we created that. This is loosely like same thinking individual coming together, and we do they meet monthly once minimum, but more than that they can meet. So conducting awareness, webinars internally, uh, inviting people from the different organization and talking to that forum. Everything remote right now, but soon it will be on premise also. So that creates a little bonding, and in that any project comes, that project will be whosoever is interested to take that project will run, and it's completely voluntary.
Mhm.
There is no hierarchy in that. So that also I think working well for our organization because the skill gap is there, and we really cannot hire a top-notch security professional because nowadays, as you know, I mean the resignation era is going on. Even if you hire maybe 6 months or 1 year, that person may leave.
Mhm.
So that's really nobody want to invest in that much. But we take people and we promote the some senior developer who wanted to come into security is having it. So that kind of culture we wanted to create. That's all.
Continuous workshop and continuous training, right? Okay. So maybe they may not be in best, but they are above the average, and I think that solves the problem, right? Okay. Okay. So we have last two questions. Okay. So this topic is like what do you see as the optimum role for partners or MSSP?
So definitely it's important to see. It's a partnership and today of course.
Yeah. Without that,
because
nothing
you can't
can.
run everything on your own.
Nothing can.
Because, another way.
So how will you categorize? I mean, 80% is being owned by you, 20% is kind of offered to MSSP, not across security, across the technology. Okay.
It can depend on organization to organization.
Mhm.
Some would like to keep it captive, some mostly say, well, we are living in outsourcing world. But having said that, the partner expertise, because the partner is SME on that, and they keep continuously updating, so it's always a mix and match.
And it goes to the previous your point that skill.
Skill shortage.
Yeah.
Yes.
So if I really want a continuous business, that partner knows how to manage that security people, right? Or they will have some mechanism to have that mix of taking a freshers and of creating. Why should I take that headache? Right?
Correct.
So that's why at least those jobs where I need a regular skills just to keep the lights on, I will give it to the partner.
So depending on the organization also,
Yeah.
see some organizations cannot give it to a partner like
Yeah.
FSI. They
So,
need to
so we operate with multiple partners in fact.
Yeah.
Earlier we used to operate with one single partner and then we realized that it's becoming more and more difficult. So specifically, let's say for example, different sub verticals within this entire InfoSec stream. So I have a separate partner who's managing my SOC, for example. Somebody else is doing my vulnerability management. Somebody is doing my InfoSec audit. So I realized that it's becoming very difficult to actually, and in fact, it's becoming difficult for the partner also. Because I would need the partner for a given specialized service at a given point of time. Now, if at that point of time the partner is himself struggling, then it's a no-go for me. So we have sort of de-risked our entire approach by having not only in-house team, and as you rightly said that we try to promote some people from the development side of the function. If they are interested into InfoSec, we will give them specialized training and we'll move them there. Plus a few partners together, a bouquet of partners who have a primary role and a secondary role. So in case one partner suddenly doesn't fulfill the primary role, then at least I can go to the next partner who has been interested with the secondary role, who can actually take over that piece. So and this is in fact the reality of the show right now, if you ask me.
So I to that.
Redundancy in MSSP, absolutely. So that's the. The situation has got us all of this in the last couple of years.
Yeah.
It's also become like Zomato and Swiggy or Ola and Uber.
Mhm.
So I want it, I will go with a partner, or else I cook it.
Yes.
Correct.
It's also become the new.
Yeah, but partner के पास, if you look at from partner perspective also, partner cannot have an unlimited resource for unlimited time, right?
Right, yeah.
Until they have a project, why they will pay, right? So they also keep a very minimal whatever is needed, and suppose they have a visibility from Exide Life, then they will hire and they will keep it, or they will have a subcontract. I mean, all the things and models are going on, right?
Right, yeah.
And I don't
It's
know.
almost like becoming a partner as a service.
Yes.
Yes. Very true.
So it's like
I
a.
try to leave, as I told earlier.
We have one last question and we'll go to your presence for that.
Yeah, even me, I want to.
So, what do you see as an important trend that's going to shape the cybersecurity? Okay, cybersecurity strategies to be precise in India in next coming years.
Regulations.
We discussed about it, yes.
Two, three things that immediately come to my mind is the possible rollout of our version of the GDPR.
Right,
Possible
exactly,
rollout,
right.
which we have been hearing for the
Right.
last 18 months,
Yes, right.
which will have a huge impact. We don't know. I mean, some other
Yeah, whatever.
format,
Personal data
something,
protection, PDP.
something will come out. That is going to have a large impact. The second is that some of the new regulations which are coming in, for example, the VPN regulation which has just come in.
Yeah,
Some of the
yeah,
players
VPN
will start
will
now
come.
moving out.
Yeah,
The
all people
VPN
moving
and all
out.
they will start moving out. One thing which might play a big role is the government stand or the central bank stand on cryptocurrency. Now that itself is going to be a big shaker of the market. This will have, because it's not only about cryptocurrency but also the underlying technology. So I feel that some of these things, rightly put, everything is finally a regulation, but these things in the next 18 months to 24 months are going to play a big part.
Yeah, and they're going to shape
It's
the
going to
security
reshape the
different ways.
security completely.
At least in India, definitely they are going to shape. But what I also feel that the security industry is, like in every industry, has a peak. So peak is yet to come in the security. We are very away from that peak. Every technology has a peak and then it goes down. So we will see now in the last 2 years we have seen everybody, like the small guys also having a mobile and they take the money directly from mobile. So we will see a number of attacks, number of issues, and we will need a lot of professional in this space. And that will be a biggest problem. And if we are not able to train that many, or if we're not able to fulfill that kind of address the need, we will have a problem, huge problem in the digital space.
Just add one more flavor onto it. Now also seeing about the new boomers coming into the new age kids passing out and they're trying to come to this. So education also became one more important. Today morning I was talking to one kid from the college. So he was saying, mother was asking, okay, sir is asking you want to choose security or AML. The kid is saying security is good, but it's not much paid and I have to spend more time. So I will go with AML. I'll get more money and I'll spend more less time.
Okay.
So this is also one of the
That's the reality.
perspective how it is.
Because security is about wisdom, right? If you see, I mean, security is about wisdom. It's not, you can't have a smart rookie
It takes
to
time.
come and take a sweep. A smart rookie can be a full stack developer. He can be a good Tableau expert. He can be a good Power BI expert. He can't become a good champ in security. And you will not trust somebody in early 20s who can give you care about security. You need wisdom. You need a combination of colors in your hair, if at all we have. So we need that type of combination.
That we have.
At that age, right? At wisdom we may not have, we don't know. So
That is
we
true.
need that trust. Wisdom only can trust. You can only trust wisdom when
No, that
security.
vintage is required. You really
The
can't
motivation
have
is
that
going to be
experience.
like, yes.
That is-
The motivation is going to be a big challenge. Okay, if you take Israel as an example, which is exactly reverse of this statement, if you see, 8.8 billion startup, valuation last year alone. If you see the Israel, and Israel is like how we have pawn shop here. Every third shop is a cyber security shop. If you see in Israel, right? Plenty of Israel. But if you see the overall churning, right, they're all young kids, right? Relatively very young, around 28, 29 average. If you take an entrepreneurship in Israel cyber security, it is like that because the culture is security there.
Correct. That's
Right?
what I said,
So it is
the country's culture
Exactly.
and upbringing will play a
Exactly.
major role.
So culture drives the strategy. Why in Germany we have more cyber security offerings? Why in Israel you have more cyber security? Why not in US? Why not in India? It's because culture, right? So our culture is completely different. So I'm just telling you, I think Sir mentioned it very well about the regulations. So if we create a culture there, the motivation comes there. I think it can percolate from there. If at all, it will be like a boardroom topic, right? Where it will be only top knows about it, others doesn't care about it. So that is where I think if we need to harness, it has to be a culture from the not only organization, from the country.
Just for that, and last point on frameworks. Also, real time example about the pay we do for security and how does the company value it. Say there are companies where they just want to have a checklist security. Say for example, security guards looking at your cars, they scan it, they open the boot, they don't know what they do. That is a small cost. Other one is that really if you have frameworks, then that will enable that they should have a proper security force which they are paid properly and they got camera controls, all of this coming into picture. So that's how the frameworks may shape in the future.
So just to add to that point, I have of late I have seen a trend of security evangelists We will require 10 minutes, please.
I have to leave because I promised my wife.
Security evangelists, okay, including people from Rapid 7 as well. Okay, what we have started a practice, like we are going and visiting universities, setting up COEs, making those people industry ready. Okay, because if you ask me personally, my cousin, he passed out from a university last year with somewhere around, I would say, 7.8 GDP, which is I think a very good numbers. I asked him what is IP address. He was clueless. So that's what it is. But yes, we are trying to do that. Okay, and I think so. Someday, right? I think so. We will be at that culture of security.
That is not a right level of education. I'm saying. I mean,
I think
If you are part of your campus recruitment drives, then you will not be surprised by that statement. I mean, at times, I think that I'm in a wrong place, the wrong time. Why should I be even meeting these people?
Yeah.
They know nothing. It was as if, I could have met them 4 years back. It would not have changed anything.
What they did in 4 years? I mean, that is the very.
So I asked the professors at times. Of course, it's a.
They know about cryptography, but they don't know about IP.
That's how it goes nowhere, but. Anyways.
So we are going to close our today's discussion. I will invite Srini for closing notes.
Keeping very quiet.
I've been skipping down so that I could speak. Thank you all for the lively discussion. I'll not take too long. I think I'm loud enough, everyone could.
As a regulation, yes.
Okay. So I've been trying to take down the notes, what everybody have been talking here. Few points which I have noted down. First thing, in security, that's a culture, security culture that has to be driven from the top management. And the best part I loved is the speed of deployment, the speed of remediation, or the speed of change management, operational changes to be taken. And the last one which I loved is when Ganesh told out that security should be imbibed into people, process, and governance part of it. Keeping that in view, if you look at what we believe as security maturity model, what most of you as CISOs, CEOs follow, you break that down into strategy, basing on your business needs, then define that into technology, what technologies would support you on your business strategy, what you're doing, and what kind of architecture you would need to ensure your technology supports the strategy and strategy becomes a successful one. And how do you manage all the three pillars across? And we as Rapid7 can be your cybersecurity partner on the technology side, right from the tool side to the controls, to the endpoint controls, or to the other proxy or the web proxy tools or the perimeter tools you're using, right? Just not the tools, including your operation, easing the operations part of it as part of your governance and reporting. As BFSI, you said, lots of reporting goes into the regulation part of it, and the operational matrix. As a CIO, you need to ensure not just the lights are on, but to ensure the business runs as quick, as seamless with no issues, and ensuring that we have the incidents which are to be taken care on priority P0, which can be taken care of tomorrow or day after tomorrow or week. And most important, the business value, what we all were talking. Is there any threat to my business where my business might have to suffer? So we as Rapid7 can be your cybersecurity partner in all these areas. And to provide you these, to be part of your cybersecurity partner in these areas, we have all these solutions around on a single platform called Insight Platform, wherein first we could help you assess the network. That's one of the topic what we discussed. How do we discover where my assets are? Today the king is nowhere living in the castle. It's as a user, I'm the king for Rapid7. And for you, the front-end agent who is selling the license policy, insurance policy is the king because we have to support him, secure him. We can do that, then we can detect it, wherein you could proactively detect and respond back or in a form of alert, email, or it is, and to the extent automate the process that can be done in cybersecurity. And we not only cover the inside of your organization, right from doing the vulnerability management part of it, or the application part, the dash tool of it, or the multi-cloud architecture, hybrid cloud architecture, wherein you need a single pane of glass to ensure you have the same security controls across the multi-cloud architecture of yours, and the incident management. Today, every one of us talk of XDR, user behavior, network behavior. honeypots, deceptive technologies. So we have solutions that could cater to you not only to secure proactively the inside of your organization, but with threat intel, the outside of your organization, wherein we could be your cybersecurity partner at a 360-degree view of your organization, and also ensure we have the SOAR platform which would help you to integrate your existing cybersecurity tools that you have already been using to bring it to the same umbrella and to ensure your security posture keeps enhancing every passing business day, making life more comfortable, more ease, and with less changes or friction involved. So that's what, as an organization, we provide out. And the last point, which I would love to bring, is a service part of it, where we were talking short skill of people. Today, every one of us say, let the best person handle the job. So the same way, we are proud to say, we not only give solutions to enterprise like you, we can be your managed service partner, wherein we could be the best person, supporting you not just on solution, in ensuring it is implemented properly and taken care on a day-to-day operations part also. With this, I call upon Merlin to give the closing notes.
Thank you, Srikanth. Your thoughts and insights that were shared with each other. Thank you so much.